Hey beauties, it's me, Deja, back and ready to review some books for you. I don't know what's up with my hands, I'm putting them down. Welcome back to my channel, The Black Bell. I am here to talk about some of my, tea, somebody's spilling tea. Alright you guys, so I have read so much in the month of July and literally, I'm so proud of myself. I'm just gonna be out there, I owe it all to audiobooks. Today we're talking about some of my recent reads and you guys, I'm so happy because all four of these books were good. Were good books. Like, there was no disappointments on this list. There was actually some surprises, but no disappointments. So I have 4 books to talk about today. 2 of them I gave 4s, 2 of them I gave 5s. Listen, I have no problem giving a book a 5. No problem whatsoever. I'm not stingy with my 5s. You know how people can have multiple favorite shows? Even if a book is a 5, it doesn't necessarily go on to my favorites list. Anyway, let's not rant. Let's start with our first book. Okay, first up, I have Summerbird Blue by Akemi Bowman. But this book, I gave a 4.5 out of 5 stars. It's a 4 on Goodreads, but you know what? It doesn't matter. So, Summerbird Blue is a story that follows 2 sisters, Rumi and Leah. They are 2 years apart, and they are each other's best friends. Sorry if you can hear that hose in the background. Who's hosing down right now? Well, they're best friends. They do everything together, including making music. They share a love for music. In a single-parent home, they live with only their mother, who is very often busy. But from their childhood, Rumi basically raises Leah up and is a mother figure to her until they reach the point of the age where they become best friends. And they get to tell each other everything, and they have a really close sister bond. However, the story begins after Rumi, Leah, and their mother are in a car crash that leaves only Rumi and their mother alive. I was like, wow, this cover and this title is very misleading. So basically the whole story takes place over the summer after the car crash, like directly after the car crash, a week after the car crash or whatever, and Rumi is flown out. So Rumi goes to Hawaii to spend time with her aunt to grieve her sister, and while her mother stays away. And to top this all off, this has been Rumi's fear since she was younger. Rumi has always been very jealous of Leah because when their mother was around, their mom would treat Leah like the baby. She would take care of her and treat Rumi as if she was already old enough. Okay, so the title of the book is Summerbird Blue. This is directly implied in the story. You don't have to wonder about the title at all. Like I mentioned, Rumi and Leah have always bonded over music especially, and they like to write songs together. And what they would do is they would pick 3 random words off the top of their head. They would use those words to make song lyrics. During their car ride, they pick Summerbird Blue. And right before they can even start the song, Leah dies. So Rumi basically makes it her mission during the summer to finish this song. She thinks once she finally can finish this song and find her way back to music, she can finally, she can feel closer to Leah. The supporting characters are the boys next door. The surfer boy Kai, who is the same age, everyone is expecting that one. But there's also the cranky older neighbor, Mr. Watanabe, and his annoying dog Poi. And it's basically about how those 2 also help her throughout the summer. Fair warning, Rumi is so annoying. Would have been a 5 if Rumi wasn't so annoying and the writing wasn't so repetitive. So Rumi is just not, to me, Rumi is not a likable character. Not that she's not likable, but she's obviously going through a very hard time, and she takes it out on everyone around her. And always that fine line between, yeah, I understand, but also you're pushing it. I always seem to be on this line every single time. But then the writing was also very repetitive. I think this book could have been maybe at least 50 pages shorter if we hadn't got the same I hate mom for abandoning me. My sister's dead. We get it. The reason that I did give it such a high rating is because by the end of the story, I was about ready to sob. My feelings for Rumi personally have not changed. I still don't think she's that good of a character, but I was still emotional and I was still feeling for her by the end of the story. For me to not like her but still feel for her, still understand what was happening and still be very satisfied with the ending of the story, I was like, wow, Akimi. I would suggest reading this as an audiobook though. The dialogue, the language, the way, the accents that the characters have, it's a little choppy. She writes the dialogue choppy because they have accents. So it was way better audiobook experience than it was when I was physically trying to read it. This next book, I liked it more than Summerbird Blue, but I gave it a 4, like a solid 4. Let Me Hear a Rhyme by Tiffany D. Jackson. Okay, this is the first Tiffany D. Jackson book that I've read, but now that I've read it, I am moving on to Grown very soon. So Let Me Hear a Rhyme also follows death. A death of a sibling, wow. But not everybody's sibling. What kind of everybody's sibling? Let's get into it. Jasmine, Quadir, and Jarrell. It's told from each of their point of views, which I love. Let Me Hear a Rhyme is about these 3 characters, and it picks up during a funeral. The funeral for Quadir and Jarrell's best friend and Jasmine's older brother, Steph. So this book takes place in Brooklyn, New York, back in okay, I think it's the 90s. Like, look at the cover. The cover is saying 90s. It's around the time that Biggie died. Oh, it says it right here, 1998. So we open up on the funeral of Steph, and right away we get the emotions. Bam. And the one thing that they all have in common is that they love rapping, and they especially love to hear Steph rap. He was an amazing rapper, but he never really got his chance to, you know, go out there and become a rapper because he was murdered in the streets. Basically, the 3 of them come up with a plan to sell Steph music as if he was still alive, in order to get his music out there, to complete his dream for him because they loved him so much. So that's basically the plan. It's Quadir and Jarrell's plan, and Jasmine agrees as long as Quadir and Jarrell agree to help her solve the mystery of Steph's murder. Ah yes, the ghost writer. So they start selling Steph's music under the name The Architect. And basically they have to navigate how to get their friend's music out there legitimately while he's dead. And also trying to figure out who murdered him. Kind of a little bit like a dazzle mystery in there. But I wouldn't go into it thinking it's a mystery novel. Like, if somebody told you that's false. Really, really, really enjoyed this book. I loved the hip hop aspect of it. I loved the time period of it. And I loved what happened in it. I liked figuring out what happened to Steph and getting to know him by getting to know his friends. That's he lived on through them, obviously, clearly. It was funny. It was funny, but it was also sad. But I loved seeing how sensitive these boys were, and brotherly love is one of my favorite things to see. So I really enjoyed that. I did not enjoy the romance. I just didn't. Kind of felt forced. There wasn't real chemistry. It was kind of just this makes sense, or this could happen. So there was a few things that if you guys want me to go deep dive into any of these books, any of them, I can't go into much more detail without spoiling things. So I'm just gonna sit here and say this is a 4 out of 5 star book. Now it's time to get into my 5-star reads. Yes. Okay. So I read Not So Pure and Simple by Lamar Giles. You guys, this was funny. It's right off the bat. It's funny. He wants to talk about the church peak. Y'all know the church peak. When everybody's, praying and you're peeking, So I was just like, wow, if we're gonna get real, let's get real. Not So Pure and Simple by Lamar Giles follows the story of Dell. Here's a few things you need to know about Dell. 1. Dell is in love with Kiara, and he has always been. 2. Because he is in love with Kiara, he accidentally signs up for the purity pledge at their church, but purposely signs up for the sex education class at his high school. Third thing you gotta know about him is that he has a mom and a dad who love him dearly. A mom who's just trying to find her way to the Lord, trying to find her a good church. A dad who's just, who thinks he's a little bit off, but is trying his best to connect to his son. And an older sister who is ready to talk that talk. If you read the book, you know it. Like I said, this book follows Dell, a boy who's in love with a girl, the cliche. However, he gets himself wound up in this church purity pledge that he has no business being at. He's doing it to follow Kiara, the girl he's in love with. But while he's there, he meets Jamir, who is a close friend of Kiara's. And Jamir makes a deal with Dell that he will help him woo Kiara if Dell becomes kind of like a sex guru for him and the other purity pledgers. He's the only one in the purity pledge who is taking the sex education class at the high school. So that's the main essence of the story. That's the driving force of the whole story. But that's not why I love it. Okay, let me tell you why this book is just so freaking good. The entire time, Dell is chasing Kiara, okay? And Kiara is the girl that everybody wants. She is the it girl. I just want to give you guys the reasons why I love this book so much without, like, the best I can without spoiling it. They really call out the issues that happen in church, but most churches were gonna hide it under the rug. I was like, damn, if we're gonna say it, then say it. And this book said it. But I also love this book because it really, like, talks about toxic masculinity so well. Like, I was not expecting it. Like, the entire time I thought, like, it even had me thinking, like, am I not a feminist? Because I thought I was a feminist, and this book told me I wasn't. This book told me, like, you're wrong. You're thinking at it the wrong way. Or maybe it was just because I was in the male point of view. But I can't blame that. I can't blame that. You listen, go out there and read this. This book is very important. It talks about, like, being flawed, but still working through it. Okay, like recognizing your flaws and being aware of yourself and all of that good shit. It was a 5 out of 5 star read, and I will deep dive into this. Just ask me. Just one person asked. Okay, the last and final book on this list, the other 5 out of 5 star read, is the book I told you guys I was reading like 3 months ago. When Light Left Us by Leah Thomas. I should have been picked this up. I should have known. I should have known. Leah, you've done it again. I don't even know how to explain this. So, When Light Left Us follows the Vasquez siblings, Hank, Anna, and Milo, and they have just been abandoned by their father. However, their mother is still very much there, very much loving, very much a part of the equation. Or so she thinks. Story about how these Vasquez siblings were taken over by an extraterrestrial something. There's not, like, I literally don't want to give anything away in this review. Like I said, I want to talk about these books so badly, like so badly. Okay, I'm just gonna read the entire back because it's like, this is a very sci-fi book. So Leah Thomas writes in metaphors. So you have to have like you don't have to have anything. You don't have to have anything or do anything you don't want to do. If you want to really, really feel the poeticness of her writing, you have to be aware that it's very metaphorical. I kind of take metaphors literally in my head when I visualize them out. So this book was a wild ride for me, but it was so, so good. The whole book is about self-love and motherly love, unconditional love, sisterly, brotherly, familial love. The secondary characters in this book are amazing. Let me read the back. It says, nobody knew where Lux came from, and then he was gone. When the Vasquez siblings' father left, it seemed nothing could remedy the absence in their lives, until a shimmering figure named Lux appeared in the canyon behind their house. So, the canyon behind their house, the Great Canyon, Lux filled the void. He shot hoops with 17-year-old Hank's hands. He showed 14-year-old Anna cinematic beauty behind her eyelids. He spoke kindly to 7-year-old Milo. But then Lux left too. Hank, Anna, and Milo must carry on as if unaltered by an alien presence. But how can they ever feel close to other people again when Lux changed everything about how they see the world and themselves? There's nothing I can say that this didn't capture. Like, listen to the blurbs. A nuanced exploration of human nature. Now that is a perfect description. Compelling, character-driven, heavily character-driven, and imaginative. 5 out of 5 stars. The metaphors were great. I was sobbing like halfway through, then 3/4 of the way through, and then at the end as well. Just know that this book did it for me. I think it's gonna make my top favorite books for 2021's list. I cannot say for sure, but it's looking up. Please give Leah Thomas a chance. Please give her, just try. So those are 4 of the books that I've read recently. I enjoyed them so very much. Please, like, give at least one of them a chance. At least one of them. If you need, like, they were all very, like, not very, but they were all pretty fast paced. So let me know if you've read any of these. Like, please, like, you guys, like, I don't want to beg, but I need to talk to somebody about some of these. So let me know your thoughts if you've read them. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk. All right, beauties, stay frosty.